Gary Vaynerchuk said famously, when we launched Wine Library, the website, in 1996, I didn't even own a computer yet. I just understood that there was an opportunity here to market in a different way. Hey, this is KB. I'm a technologist, thought leader, and self-published author. I've been publishing ebooks, print books, audio, video, and other content online since 2015. I stumbled quite a bit, tried many different types of content, marketing strategies, software tools, and social media streams. Now I'm here to help you learn from my mistakes and find inspiration along the way. We'll take a journey together to leverage your content, dive into practical tips, and test out actionable strategies that move you from posts to profit. This is the Self-Pub Empire Podcast. Welcome back. Let's talk about your website. I sure hope you have one. But before we even talk about whether or not it sucks, we need to discuss why you need one in the first place. And maybe you think your website sucks. I thought mine did, and I did a lot of work on it, and I think it's much, much better than it used to be. But why do you need one in the first place? One of the nuggets here of truth is that social media is great. It's fantastic. It's fabulous. But you absolutely are not in control of social media. And in reality, not really even in control of your social media account. So I want you to remember that. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go through our top 10 reasons you need a website. Let's jump into it. Number 1, brand ownership and control. This one's kind of obvious. Having a website gives creators really full control over branding, messaging, design, and all of those aspects, which really are not possible on social media platforms. Kind of obvious. Do you like a certain color scheme? Do you like a certain font? Those are things that the big brands really do consider very carefully, and they have different themes of colors in those kinds of spaces that they own, such as websites. But is it in more work? It is, of course, much more work. Absolutely. There's no doubt that it is. However, there are really only so many things that you can adjust on a social media platform to match your brand. People are visual, and the human brain, enjoys consistency. So if you have a brand that's on point with your message, your color, your font, themes, and so on and so forth, that's much more powerful on a website versus something of what you can do in social media. So, number 1, brand ownership and control. Number 2, diversification of income streams. So, the website really actually should be your monetary nexus. What do I mean by that? What I really mean is it should be your central hub. If you're thinking about a wheel, it's a hub and a spoke. Thinking about a hub and a spoke, your website really is your hub, and everything else radiating out from that are the spokes. I mean, if you're selling things on Amazon, you can drive traffic from your website to Amazon for the final sales. If you're a creator, all of your creations are there, all of your classes, if you use classes and things like that. It's your monetary nexus. So it allows you to monetize through various channels, such as ads. I think most websites really don't do ads anymore per se, but there's quite a few that still do. Affiliate marketing certainly is another big one, and selling your products or services directly to your audience. You can do that too, right in your website. A website is even more obviously useful for selling electronic products such as online courses, ebooks, PDFs of coloring pages of cats, consulting services, and for artists and authors and physical product creators and resellers. Your website can be done right, and that can drive revenue in many ways that way as well. So number 2, diversification of income streams. The website is your monetary nexus. Number 3, long-term content visibility. I think this one's very powerful. So keep in mind that it's tied to what I talked about at the beginning. Content on the social media platforms really have a short lifespan due to many things, constantly changing algorithms, and so on and so forth. A website can provide a permanent archive for content you can create to attract organic traffic over time. I thought about this too, to myself, thinking that I posted sometimes some cool things on social media. And I thought, well, with these little videos or reels or whatever, why wouldn't I host them back on my own website too? I'm not really sure. I can then leverage that content for myself. So an interesting example on this is Pinterest. It is the example and the epitome of longevity. And certainly it's the longest longevity social media site, really, I think, in existence. I'm not positive about that. YouTube maybe a little bit more, but I don't know if that's considered social. But Pinterest and favorite pins and following people still makes it social. And the research shows that posts on Pinterest have a lifespan that is longer than pretty much everything else on all the other social media platforms, kind of like I just said. Social media platforms, pretty low in general. Twitter/X is 15 minutes. It's really short. Facebook is 5 hours. Instagram is 12 hours. So that's why you hear a lot of creators leaning into Instagram more so than Facebook. LinkedIn is 24 hours. YouTube's 30 days. So that's pretty good, right? Pinterest is a whopping 3 months. I didn't touch on TikTok here because that I think is even worse, but Pinterest is a whopping 3 months. And I'm telling you right now, folks, I don't know about you, but I need to level up my Pinterest game for my posts to profit on Pinterest. I certainly know I do, and I'm going to work on figuring that out and helping you with that as well to up your level on that Pinterest game as well, to make sure that Pinterest is something you can leverage with a 3-month lifespan for driving traffic. I think that's pretty impressive. In comparison, your website, once you have your content value stream and other marketing strategies driving traffic towards it, it would even have a longer longevity, right? It's really going to be there as long as you run that website. Your posts are going to be out there and things are going to be able to find them, and your customers are going to be able to find them, whatever it is that you posted out there. So that's number 3, long-term content visibility. That's really, really powerful. Number 4, data ownership and analytics. I could probably talk about this a long time, especially about analytics, because the idea of analytics is to be able to make decisions. So with a website, creators really have access to detailed analytics and user data. At least you should. On most hosting platforms, you should be able to. Or if you use Google Analytics and attach it or tie it into your website, you should be able to get it there as well. That enables you to make informed decisions, which are very powerful, about what your content strategy is and your audience engagement. So we'll talk about analytics a little more detailed here for just a moment, although I think I could do a whole post on this. The idea here, as I said, is to use traffic data being driven to your site or the search engine data about your site to help you make decisions. For example, if much of your traffic is coming from a specific area, then you know you have potential customers in that area that maybe for like consulting or landscaping services, things like this. They're paying attention to you. This area, maybe it's the city over. Think about landscaping. Maybe have a landscaping company. The city over is like you're getting more traffic from that area. Can you adjust your sales strategy and then drive more revenue from that area? Do you want to do something else in association with your website? Flyers in that area. I see your posts. See people are coming to the website from the next town over. Maybe I should market there a little bit more. Even more interesting is if a particular blog post or a page is getting the most traffic, you can use that to make decisions about maybe doing more of that. This one's working. I'm going to do more. Maybe it's a post about product review and you had never done that before, or something similar to that, and you hadn't really done that. You can decide then to do more product reviews and drive more traffic to your other associated information and possibly upsells or other things that you want to do. So in social media, you're really hard pressed to understand exactly who is seeing your posts. And some platforms are better than others in understanding the demographics of who's seeing your posts. But again, with things being so fleeting, the website really allows you to drive better decision making. And you own that data. That data is yours. So number 4, data ownership and analytics. Number 5, credibility and professionalism. I like to use the landscaper idea as a possible example of something that isn't really an online creator, but it's still a business, being able to use a website to help drive traffic and drive customers. So credibility and professionalism with a dedicated website, it really enhances the professional image of the company, of you, if you're professional. You provide a centralized hub, again, your monetary nexus for all of your work, portfolio, and achievements. Think about, let's go with the landscaper example then. Maybe you can get people to quote positive reviews and references and things like that. And you start putting those on the site. That has a lot of power to it. You can't do that with social media. You can't do that with those posts. So that really will up your credibility if you've got a website with all these great comments about what great work you do or whatever it is. This book, maybe you made a book. This book is the greatest book I've ever read. It's fantastic. I recommend it to all my friends. For example, those kinds of things on the websites can really add to your credibility and professionalism. Definitely especially true for consultants, coaches, online educators. You can showcase what you offer. It's persistent because it's your website, as long as you run it, and folks can keep coming back to it. You have to have a domain name of your own. You just have to have it. We discussed this in the earlier podcast. Domain names are not that expensive and provide that, hey, I'm a real business feel to your potential customers. So as a side note, I recommend getting your domain name with your company name, and you might make your company name after a domain name that you can actually get. Definitely increases your credibility. So number 5, credibility and professionalism. All right, so we're halfway through our top 10. Number 6, flexibility and customization. Websites offer flexibility in design and functionality, allowing you as a creator to showcase your uniqueness and creativity in ways that may not be possible really on social media. Kind of similar to the brand comment from number 1. But the flexibility really does depend on your hosting. So however you do it makes a big difference. I remember when the internet was in its infancy, there were no fancy tools to help create any websites. It was pure HTML coding language and extremely slow download speeds. That was the internet life at the time. Mostly text and ASCII art. And if you don't know what it is, you can look that up. It was the Wild West for sure at the time. These days, your flexibility depends on where you host. But if you're a coder at heart, you can always rent a server and have complete control. I do not recommend this unless that's your shtick. If you're a coder or a website designer and that's what you want to use or do and showcase, certainly then knock yourself out. But otherwise, I recommend you get a hosting company, spend your time in your art, your words, your music, your videos, and really not the most on your website. You absolutely have to have it. It will allow you to be creative. And much like we talked about in the past, you can take it one bite at a time. Start with your homepage and work off of that. And remember, your homepage isn't going to sell anything. I'm going to talk about some more of these things and really how to set up your website in a later podcast. But for now, number 6 is flexibility and customization, a really good reason to get your own website. Number 7, search engine visibility. Well-optimized website improves the chances of being discovered through the search engines, expanding your reach beyond any existing social media following. So this really falls in the realm of something called SEO, or search engine optimization. It's really the holy grail of driving traffic and customers to your website. And why is that? Well, when someone enters something into a search engine, do you or your website come up in the list? Does your social media posts come up on the lists? If you're starting out, likely neither, actually. Unfortunately, you're probably not making a splash just yet. However, do not despair. The website, your website, will appear for search about your focus, creativity, or a thing or product that you're selling potentially, but your posts won't. They will not do that. They are not indexed by the search engines. So SEO is really about websites and not about social media posts. There is sort of an exception to this. I don't really think YouTube is a social media site, but Google will index YouTube videos and put them up there for things that are searched, particularly like how-to any kind of things like that. So they'll actually push the YouTube videos of how-to videos higher in the list, or product reviews higher in the list. But the idea here is still the same. Your search engine optimization on your website is really important to gather more hits from Google for things that people are searching on. And so with the YouTube videos coming up, this is why I'm really actually intrigued. As a side note here, about YouTube music for podcasts. So I'm going to dive into that more in a future episode. I'm really excited about trying that. Even though I did the Google Podcasters, that is going to go away, as I discussed in a previous podcast. So I'm going to get rid of that probably, or it's going to go away by itself. And I'm going to be moving to YouTube, and it's, in theory, this podcast should be coming up on YouTube Music soon enough. So I think that's very interesting. But that was a side note. Search engine optimization is really important because it's free. This is the big deal, right? You don't have to pay for ad spend to drive traffic to your website. Someone searches for something and it's in your wheelhouse, they're going to drive that traffic to your website for free. That's huge. And it's talked about a lot, and there's a lot of strategies for that. So search engine visibility, number 7. Number 8, direct audience connection. Through email lists and contact forms on your website, creators, and you as a creator, can establish direct communication with your audience without really relying solely on social media algorithms or policies. And that's important, similar to what I talked about where I began the conversation regarding social media. Social media is great, but there's definitely some gotchas there to be aware of. A website will allow you a lot more flexibility with connecting directly with your customers. You can do this to some degree, of course, with social media and direct messages and, hey, hit me up in the DMs, those kinds of things. However, really a powerful way to create intellectual property, which we talked about in the previous podcast. If you didn't check it out, go check it out. That's the Hey, Are You Business Ready podcast. And we talked about intellectual property. The email list really is your customer list, or it can be a customer list, one of your customer lists. It's a very powerful one. That actually is worth something, especially if you can sell to those people and they're very interested in buying from you. In the sales realm, those are called pre-qualified leads because they gave you their email address, so they're expecting to hear from you. So really nothing matches an email list for having a customer list. You can have followers, you can have direct messages. Those can disappear. So it's really extremely powerful. It allows you to keep in direct contact with folks that are interested in you. I see many up and coming bands. So I'm thinking about bands that are new, especially in the rock realm, because they're not as popular. There's not as much radio anymore. Everything's streaming. But some of these up and coming bands do not leverage their websites, in my opinion. I really don't think so. They're on social media. They're doing great there in many cases, but their websites really, really are lacking. They're extremely basic. And so that's really not their monetary nexus then for information about what it is that, they do. So remember, any social media platform really can remove your account. And if that's all you have is a social media platform, then suddenly you really have nothing. And so I think bands with lots of followers, again, I'm using bands as an example, they tend to really just leverage social media because of the videos and those kinds of things. But if they went back and thought about it, what about taking those video posts and posting them to their website and having this really nice steady stream of content on the website and building that up there? It would never go away. Those posts would persist. We've talked about that too. They'd be very similar to Pinterest, those kinds of things. It's the direct audience connection on that website, though, that we're talking about here, and having people give you their email, they're pre-qualified customers, and they're very interested in what they have. Can't do that with social media. Really can't. DMs are not the same. So number 8, direct audience connection. Number 9, future-proofing against platform changes. We've talked about this a little bit. We've touched on this. I don't want to be very doom and gloom about it, except that I know it's happened and there's platform changes all the time. Actually, Google does too with their searches, but there's an unpredictable nature to the social media platforms. Having that website of your own provides safety net in case there's unforeseen changes or shutdowns on specific platforms or policy differences regarding whatever your content is, if it doesn't match the standard or something, or if the algorithms or the AIs that do screening of content decide that you are a bad actor. And who knows what that can do. And we've seen this happen in the news. I've heard this coming up a little less now than I have in the past, but people have been banned and shadow banned and so on and so forth. Again, I'm not trying to freak you out. I'm not trying to scare you. I think they're very powerful and very useful, but you have to recognize them for what they are. You do not own it. So the algorithm is really the point here, though. The algorithms change about what posts are going to get shown to people, and then the trends change as well, and then they adjust the algorithm. So this does happen on a regular basis. There's a ton of people at all of these social media companies really working towards adjusting their algorithms over and over and over again to try to continue to do what? To increase their revenue, increase their profits. And they need to make adjustments, especially because trends change all the time. So who sees your posts can change in a heartbeat, and any platform can do whatever they want. So if you own your site, you are future-proofing yourself and your online presence for, as long as you run your website. So number 9 is future-proofing against social media platform changes. And by the way, again, I'm not trying to freak people out, so I apologize for that. However, I certainly feel that you should be on almost every social media platform as much as you possibly can, and use a social media tool of some kind to help you with your posting, because otherwise it is very difficult to keep up. And you can leverage one kind of post out to multiple social media platforms. That's a fun little by the way, and it's something that I'm going to talk about in the future, is really using and leveraging a tool to get your posts out there to as many platforms as possible, to get as many eyes as possible, and to do what? And to drive them back to your monetary nexus, which is your website. So number 9, future-proof yourself. Number 10, professional opportunities. This is actually, again, where I go back to bans and other things. So a professional website really can attract collaboration offers. That's money from brands, agencies, or other partners who seek to work with influential online creators. Suddenly you're an influencer because you have all of these followers and all of this information, and they're driving all this to your website. Well, wait a minute, hold on a second. So if all you are is on social media and someone really wants to get out to you, your website gives you a place that really is your home on the web. If someone wants to contact you with an offer, so not just something from a customer or fan doing something with social media, they have to actually, they would have to actually throw it in an unsolicited DM at you. And now, I don't know about you, but I do not check my unsolicited direct messages that much. I kind of don't pay attention to them most of the time. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I don't have a huge set of DMs coming at me all the time anyway. And most of the time, those are spam. So what do you do? What if they want to contact you? Where are you? Who are you? You can drive them to your website, and you can have a contact form in there, and there's protections in place so that you don't get spammed on there. In most website hosting platforms, they're very good about having that technology available. And that website with a contact form can deliver gold right into your mailbox if you continue on with your consistency and do all the things that you're trying to do. So this website allows you to have those professional opportunities available to you. And certainly as well, anybody who's doing coaching or consulting or online education, those are going to be out there, and that's going to give you professional opportunities as well. Someone may be seeing what you're doing from a coaching perspective and want to bring you into some national coaching program or some kind. There's all kinds of stories out there on the web about making connections and having that website available for someone to go and contact you. I'm thinking about a band, and what if you have a band, but you don't have a how to book space on your website, how to book the band? Isn't that like one of the biggest sources of revenue, is doing live shows as a band? And I've seen bands without this information in it. Only some of the super groups, I think, that don't need the money and have, professional handlers and managers, they wouldn't need that. But why make it difficult? Why not make it easy? Put that out there so that people can contact you and book you Maybe you're a stand-up comic with a website, another creation. It's kind of job, right? And how do you book this person? Well, a lot of times they have, again, professional representation, but wouldn't it be easier just to have some kind of contact form on the website to say, hey, if you want to book me, send me a message. So professional opportunities, number 10, gives you that opportunity, to use the term again, to have gold delivered right into your inbox. So that's number 10, professional opportunities. So we've gone through all 10 of those. And in conclusion, regarding these, I'm going to say it again. You need a website. These are really only 10 reasons. I think there's actually quite a few more. And you want to drive traffic to your website. So remember, it's important. It's your intellectual property, which is an asset. It has value and it can generate money. A website also leverages your content value stream, if you do it right, to give a place for interested potential customers or sponsors to see you and understand you in more detail. In addition to that, potentially there's some other collaboration that can happen. Saying someone says, I want to interview you on my podcast, for example. If I don't know how to get to you, I might try to send you a DM, but it's a lot easier for me to go to a contact form on a website and understand who you are. And if you're open to such a thing. So let's go back over the top 10 real quick. Number 1, brand ownership and control. Number 2, diversification of income streams. Your website should be your monetary nexus. Number 3, long-term content visibility. Number 4, data ownership and analytics. Number 5, credibility and professionalism. Number 6, flexibility and customization. Number 7, search engine visibility. Number 8, direct audience connection. Number 9, future-proofing against platform changes, particularly social media platform changes. And number 10, professional opportunities. I'm going to post these with the show notes for the show so you can go back and take a look at them. I hope you get your own website set up and ready to receive your adoring fans and help you go from posts to profit. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey, congratulations. You just listened to another episode of the Self Pub Empire podcast. I really hope you found something inspiring, useful, and actionable for your own entrepreneurial and business aspirations. Let's keep connecting as solopreneurs, authors, and online creators of all kinds. For more information, how-tos, great tools, and show notes for the show, head over to selfpubempire.com/podcast. Until next time, let's continue moving from posts to profit.